It's already started this wave, and it's going to sort of crescendo so towards the end of June and in July. It was showing me the core of what's at the center of the earth, and it's this profound, all I can describe it is like an enormous star that is this powerful emanation of what you could consider the living intelligence of the earth itself. The earth is also evolving hand in hand with how we are evolving. It's a whole symbiotic evolution that we're going through.
David, welcome back to the podcast, my man.
Thank you so much, Guy. It's been really great. I've been looking forward to this for a while. We had a little bit of a delay of a few weeks there. I was going through a little bit of a purge, but we're on now, so that's cool.
I know the feeling, mate. I know the feeling. No, I appreciate you. And we've been talking off air, obviously, as well. But I was looking this morning. It was about 7 months since you last came on, and
Yes.
we were speaking about the shifts that were coming in.
Yeah.
And then we started to speak about it now, what's coming in through June and July and with your team. And I'd love you to just start there and speak to that, if that's okay. And like, who's the team? And then also the shifts that have been accelerated and what we can expect through especially these next few months.
Yeah, sure. So a quick recap, and obviously you'll probably have a lot of new members that may not have seen the previous podcast that we did. So I had a series of experiences, and my previous profession, I was a theoretical physicist, mathematician. And I took a remote viewing course after a friend gave me a book, and I got into that and had some profound experiences that really kicked me on. And from there on, and I started to work with my higher self and having these contact experiences with various different races, which I call the teams. So there's many different versions of them, but they're all very high-level advanced beings that my higher self is specifically working with as one for a better phrase, in a very multi-leveled way. So I've got a lot of information through about various things. That in itself is a big conversation. But they've been giving me lots of information throughout the years, a lot to do with my own personal development, specific pointers, or look at this, or you need to shift that, you need to do X, Y, Z. But also on a bigger scale on what's happening, what's going on right now, particularly with a lot of the shifts, solar activity, what's going on in the inner Earth. And to come to your question, just to give a bit of a recap there for everybody, is just about late before the end of last year, they were talking about a series of waves that were going to come through, and they were going to step up sequentially, which has already happened. And I remember mentioning this, and I remember, it's funny, I was doing a podcast on my platform and mentioning to people and saying, did anybody feel anything on this particular day? And the whole thing went, yes, 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 yes. Everyone felt this massive surge of energy, which is exactly when the team said it would begin, which was crazy. But anyway, so what we're going through now is another very profound shift, uptick in what are these waves coming through. And the waves are threefold. So the waves are coming in externally to the planet via solar activity and what's streaming through, from various places within the galaxy, according to the teams. And also internally within the Earth. Now, I've had some very interesting experiences with deep inner Earth groups there, and I got to be able, they were showing me the core of what's at the center of the Earth, and it's this profound, all I can describe it is like an enormous star that is this powerful emanation of what you could consider the living intelligence of the Earth itself. And so as the Earth is also evolving hand in hand with how we are evolving, it's a whole symbiotic evolution that we're going through. And so there are these powerful waves that are pulsing from the core that are going all the way through out to the surface as well. On top of that, there's people's personal ignitions that are taking place inside. So you'll be experiencing the waves coming in, you're experiencing the waves pulsing from below, and you're also experiencing the waves that are pulsing through you as you get these ignition jumps as well.
I had this image of a sandwich. Always
Pretty
stuck in the
much,
middle of it.
Yeah, definitely. It's a bit of energy sandwich, isn't it, right? Plenty of mayo and all sorts of other things going on, for sure. And yeah, it's very profound, and I've been feeling so many of these, and I've had significant jumps that have happened to me that have caused these huge purges that have been going on, deeply rooting out ancient stuff. And it's very important because of the human condition where we have been. A lot has been packed down very deep, and it's been stuck in the human energetic system for many, many lifetimes. And now we're getting the chance finally in this lifetime with these pulses literally flushing through, knocking this stuff off of its perch and bringing it forward. And now it's really lifting it out. And I find what can be very confusing to a lot of people is because it's usually a very ancient stuff, there's no context for what it's about. There's no relation to anything in this life. It's like, okay, yeah, this is going on. I can see the reaction there. It's like it just suddenly turns up. And now you're like, oh my God, what the heck is going on? And this is very much the nature and the intent of the design of these waves, according to the teams, is to really get the deep stuff in the bottom of the trench up to the surface where it can be released and cleared. Because from what they've given me as how the human evolution is going, we're moving from a very old system where we thought we were just material based. Our memory was just purely neurological or a reference from, how our physical mind memory works, however you want to call that. And now we're moving, and these waves that are coming forward now is moving people into their core truth. And just to give a little bit of detail about that, if you wouldn't mind, is that what they described is that the human condition, when we're born, is this very open being that starts to grow up. We get social conditioning, we get event conditioning, we get all sorts of things that layer on and start to build sort of personality traits, identity, things we grip and hold on to. Suddenly that becomes an entire collection of things that we hold on to, and it's baggage we take around with us. And when we get so familiar with it, we think, oh, that's us. When people get triggered, it's part of the baggage collection that's actually operating there. And so essentially that's all coming off. And so it's creating a little bit of interesting times, let's put it that way, in people's lives, because a lot of the things they were familiar with and thought was them and their part of their makeup is actually leaving, and it's not. And the real them is coming up from beneath the surface, and it's emanating out. And so the transition from this high, almost significantly self-gripped state with this collection of identities and other things, we're kind of like in a midpoint now where it feels like that's unusual. It feels like you want to try and keep hold of it, but we're in this space of in between, this sort of nowhere, this no one's land kind of thing, as we're moving more and more towards immersing into the emission that's coming from the core, which is the real us. So that in a nutshell is what they've described as what's happening now. And it's already started this wave, and it's going to sort of crescendo towards the end of June and in July. And then it's going to settle down, allow for people to integrate and settle back in. And then towards perhaps another 2 or 3 months later, another wave is going to appear. So it's this sort of sequential wave, sort of sort of pulse through people, let all the stuff come up, let it clear, let it settle, let the integration take place. And then you then find yourself at a high place, and then another wave comes through, and the process keeps going. But what they described, to give a very sort of elegant amazing place of where humanity is going, they said very soon people are going to start reaching their personal thresholds where the emanation from inside themselves is going to become so strong that the way stuff used to affect them is not going to do that anymore. Because now you'll be so deeply in touch with, and it's horses for courses. It's going to be very different for different people. Some are going to trigger on later, some will be earlier on. It all depends on where you are, what energetics you've got to deal with, all those kind of things. But essentially, it's going to be a very powerful, soft core intelligence that's going to come forward, and it's going to be profound. Because what they described is, if you imagine a very tightly packed circle, and where humanity has been is we've been looping around in here in all sorts of self-personality loops, lifetime after lifetime, and keep going on. And as the looping might change its orientation, it might look as if you're getting a different view on life, you're getting different, new experiences in life. It's still essentially a looping. In other words, when people talk about, oh, I keep attracting, it's different faces, different places, but I keep on attracting this kind of thing happening or that kind of thing happening, and it keeps repeating, it keeps looping. What they're saying is these pulses are breaking open that sort of casing of the loop. So instead of looping, we're now literally free-forming or free-flowing in an open trajectory of creativity where the looping is just going to dissolve away. And what that means is that instead of having repeat experiences, we're now going to have genuinely new ones, which is going to be something that humanity really hasn't had for a very long time. So it's a very, very profound shift, as that's the information that they've given me. I think it's extraordinary.
It is extraordinary, and everything that you just shared resonates completely from going through it on my own journey and witnessing other people as well. But what I find interesting is that this year already has been intense.
Oh yes,
and the ramping up is continuing, from that period as well. Interestingly as well, what I find is, how do you navigate these personally as these intense shifts are coming? Because obviously people I feel that are watching this podcast, for instance, and your channel and my channel, are aware, they're searching, they're hungry, and they understand a requirement of holding space for yourself. But there's so many people as well that are just stepping onto this path for the first time and don't even know what it's like to be sitting in the soup, if you like, of what's coming up for them in those moments as well. No, that's a really great analogy. That I was with you the whole way on that. And one thing I found very helpful for me was shifting my mindset in terms of, I actually declared I'm all in. I'm all in. Let's go. Let's do this. And then I really feel the shift when you kind of internally decide. Yeah. And then it's how you do one thing is how you do everything. And then everything, all your actions, everything starts to align to support this, as opposed to just consuming content and resisting it and hoping the content itself is going to make the changes for you, right?
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, I agree with that. Yes. Yeah.
And the other thing that was coming to me as you were sharing that is, because obviously this term of ascension, it feels like there's a ladder that we're going out. But the way you're describing it is no, that if the seat of the soul is within the heart and the higher self is here, we're bringing more of our expanding self in to experience this.
Sorry, had you finished that? I didn't just cut you off.
Go for it. Yeah, go for it.
The way they showed me was, if you imagine a series of nested field membranes or bubbles sort of going out, and they sort of melt together in a sort of continuous way, but there are slightly, a little bit like the picture you've got in the back there. It's like an amorphous, that blue sort of, I guess that's a nebula right in the back there, is that, or...
That's my frequency, believe it or not. It's a photograph of the light.
Okay.
Yeah,
interesting.
It's amazing, huh?
Yeah. So it's a little bit like that, but imagine nested versions of those going out until it gets right back into the infinity of all. And so as this sort of form sort of starts to focus into a point, it starts to become the anchor point within you, like you say, in the Heart Intelligence Center. And there are these immaculately designed systems of energy interchange, exchange. And the way we operate, we are transducers of energy, which means we can transform from one high level down to another, and so on. We are energy exchangers. We can share energy with one to another. And we're also energy receivers and transmitters. And so this is all part of the package of the human living energy system. And so what we have done for a very long time is we have cramped and collected and gripped so much that it has essentially formed a veil or a casing around the connectivity to that multidimensional expansive self. But it's all around us. We actually sit in it. And so as we as we connect, we find this expansion of this living intelligent system. The sensitivity starts to expand. And now we start to feel these huge energy fields that are around us. So you're right. It's not like the old way, like you're going up. You're actually expanding and opening up, and everything expands outwards as you get deeper and deeper connectivity. But it is inwards. It absolutely is inwards. There's nothing outside of you, to go towards. You are literally sitting and going into the core. And as it expands, you begin to feel like your energy fields are going out and out and out, because you're becoming more aware of the energy fields that already exist, but you don't have sensitivity to them yet because you haven't got sufficient connectivity inside to have the sensitivity yet. But that's where we are moving. The more we let go, the more we surrender and immerse into the self, that sensitivity starts to come online, because it's the way they described it. It's the ability to sense the motion of energy, or emotion in one way of speaking it, is literally innate the more we immerse ourselves, because as living energy beings, we naturally have this ability to work with, transmute, transduce, emit, and receive energy effortlessly. But again, because of the grip, it's almost like we put concrete walls around us. Now it can't come in. It trickles in at best. Or, that's the sense. And that's why a lot of people talk about having a lack. Oh, I can't feel that. Why can they feel it? I don't feel that. I'm trying to have this experience and I can't feel my higher self. I can't feel this. Well, the more you practice the immersing within yourself, your sensitivity will go up and up and up, because you are dissolving the boundaries that prevents the flowing exchanges of energy with your multidimensional higher self, and therefore your sensitivity to it as well.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way to explain it. And how much do you think, that encasing that we've kind of been living in is actually cutting off the life force within us as well? And then it's manifesting up within ourselves.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Well, one of the things that in my experiences with these very advanced beings like the Arcturians and the Pleiadians and so forth, is they described when they choose to incarnate into a physical body, because many of these are so advanced, they can literally dematerialize their bodies, go into pure living energetic fields, and they can collapse back down into a body again. They have immense abilities. They're crazy. And their ships do that as well. Their ships are living organic systems. They're not technological like we have, like mechanical systems. These are living energetic systems that are consciousness in their own right. Now, coming back to your question, what they described to me was that, because I remembered wondering about their longevity and how this operates. And they were saying, well, once you reach a sufficient level of openness and connectivity with your source intelligence, the core intelligence in the center of your living intelligent heart system, a living intelligence comes through that starts to handle, manage, update, change your whole physical system. And so these beings have colossal lifetimes. And the only reason they change in the advanced beings case is because they decide, okay, I'm done with this particular orientation of body. I'm going to change to another one now. So it's not like it just stops functioning. Oh, damn, that's it. My ticket's up for this one. I'm going to do something else now. It's very different. And our conditioning, I've become to see it, the way the information they've given it to me, is it's because from a child, as a young infant, there is a significant openness to this source intelligence, but quite quickly it gets diminished. And now suddenly the immersion within that living intelligent system that changes everything to thrive now stops entering and going into the cellular, the whole structure of the human being. Now the cells have to get their copying instructions from the previous generations. And now every generation gets slightly damaged or changed. And now suddenly, like a photocopier, you are now copying, like you put it into a photocopy, you get out the copy, you put that copy back into the photocopy. And if you keep doing that, eventually you end up with a messy mulch that doesn't do anything because it's degraded so much. And in an analogous way, what they described to me, that's very much what happens in the human condition. And so one of the artifacts that human beings, I believe, are going to evolve into is this ability for the source intelligence within them to reach a certain threshold where everything is maintained in a very different way to what it is right now. That's for sure.
Wow. It goes back to what you were saying earlier about this isn't even mine. So what you're saying is through that photocopy and like what I was seeing is like epigenetics, is getting passed down from generation to generation, what we're feeling, because that's imprinted in the energy field. And that's not coming from our true divine self.
Yes, yes.
Ultimately. And as we nurture this in, we are bypassing that hardened shell of information where we keep repeating the patterns and
Yes.
actually finally go into the depths of the well of source itself, which is
Yes,
you anyway.
exactly.
I'm standing here right now in Lake Taupo in a beautiful retreat space. And there's a vast difference between an intellectual experience and passive listening to a fully embodied lived experience. Because that's what retreats can do. They can help you land, start to truly reconnect to yourself, to others, to nature, and to spirit as well. There's so much in it. That's why we created Live in Flow, and that's why we are so passionate about getting this work out there and bringing people together. If you want to find out more when our next retreat or event is coming up, just check out the link below. And now, back to the podcast.
Yes, exactly. And also to add to that, I'm glad you brought that up, because the family field energetic, or the imprint, if you like, that you collect from your parents as you come through them, is a very real thing. And this is often the source of a lot of difficulty for a lot of people, because you're not just dealing with your parents' imprints, you're dealing with their parents' imprints, and so on and so on. Because this whole process, this ancient sort of lineage of having been locked into this looping system, has gone on for a very long time. And so those imprints get passed to the next generation, to the next generation, to the next generation. And as a particular person wakes up within that generation and starts to get to work and clears and allows the clearance of this stuff, suddenly the influence of these imprints releases and comes off. And so when they have a next generation, those imprints aren't passed on, because you've released them, you've kind of stopped that boat where it was, and it doesn't go any further. And so as the more people who do this work, that's actually taking place. You're not just freeing for yourself, you're actually freeing for the generations that come after you as well.
Yeah, no, beautiful. And what would you recommend to people? Because I would notice people get very attached to the stories and the meanings behind it, and even get into the overwhelm of, oh my God, I got all this stuff, like all this trauma of going back to my entire lineage, and it just feels so big. And then I got my stuff in this lifetime, and then all of a sudden we can feel very in overwhelm.
Oh, yes. I've been there many times myself, and I'm very happy to talk about this because I think it's something which is very helpful to people. So I used to get stuck in the most yucky stuff that used to get caught up in me. And I went through cycles many times of getting flumped on my rear end, rolling around thinking, why me? Kind of things in my earlier years. And my teams would sort of back away and they would wait. And I sometimes would get a bit frustrated with that, because why are you backing away? I need help. This is really difficult stuff. And eventually I got to understand what was happening. And they're saying, when you reach a certain level, you begin to understand that it was not only your over-involvement, it was your attachment, your willingness to keep hold of this stuff, and in ways that you didn't even realize you were doing it, that was causing this whole train wreck situation. They're saying once you start to practice the art of peaceful observation, where when something comes up, you don't go into it to attack it and go after it and get rid of it. You go in to observe it. When you observe it, they're saying something quite amazing happens. You then allow the emanation from your core to have a good look and go right into it and begin the process of intelligent dissolving and intelligent dismantling. Whereas the other way, where we get involved with it, we start dramatizing it. Oh my God, it elongates so much. It does continue the breaking down, but it stretches the whole process out, because we keep trying to hold the boxes in place that are trying to leave. Very important. It's something that took me a while to fathom and twig. But they're saying And for a recent, very deep process I had, it was much shortened because I was able to get into a simply self-observation. And as each chunk of this would come up, it would come up and it would just fizzle, dissolve, and then leave. And it was such an eye-opener for me to realize how quickly that can happen now. Because the way that we have been conditioned to tackle as human beings, is to engage, sort out, control, separate into its boxes, and deal with it. That's kind of a theme that we do, is what we've been taught. And what my teams were saying to me, and these beings are very advanced. They've created the most immaculate, amazing living energy and innovations that would blow your mind. It certainly did me. They have such a graceful peace when they watch people go through this. They hold back. They're in such a powerful state of the peaceful observer. Their light emanations can just literally dissolve things in an instant. And they're saying when humanity learns to do that, sit back, relax, peacefully observe what is going on. Don't engage. Don't tangle yourself up. Don't dramatize it. Because they're saying one of the big things that affects humanity is when people get involved with past lives and identify with them. Oh, I was that in a past. Oh my goodness, this happened to me. Yada, yada, yada. Well, now you're engaging in it and you're energizing the whole process and you're keeping it where it is. So it's something that I learned very early on. Don't identify with old stuff, as entertaining as it might be, because we are going through a process of releasing and shedding identity. We're moving into the true version of ourselves, which doesn't have identity. It's a fluid, delightful, adventurous, unlimited self. The identities actually crowd it down and keep it from coming through if we choose to hold on to the identities. And so literally in a nutshell, to really answer your question, it really was that. Learn to be in the higher self state, which is the peaceful observer. And by being in that state, you will see things exactly as they are. The mind won't get involved, and sometimes it will try to, and you have to be aware of that and just relax it. No. We're just observing, we're just watching. There's nothing to sort out, nothing to intellectualize, nothing to put in boxes and arrange in the way you think it should be. This is leaving. It's just let it leave and observe it. And the more you can observe it and let your intelligent light go into it and dissolve it and clear it out, the faster you will move through it. And that's been my experience for sure.
No, I love it. And I love the term peaceful observer. To add to that, what I noticed on my journey is as I hold space for more and more people through the years, as I've been continually purging and healing within my own body, my ability to hold space and become more of a peaceful observer for others exponentiates as well.
Yes.
As opposed to the mirroring something within me that hasn't been healed yet.
Right.
So that was really fascinating to observe in my journey, and then becoming being able to hold space more and more for myself as these accelerations happen. But
Yes.
what intrigues me as well is, do you feel through that peaceful observation, the body is continually learning and has the ability to process this energy at faster rates due to its learning capabilities? Just like when we go to the gym, if we start exercising, or, there's an adaptation that the body then adapts to. What are your thoughts on that? And what is happening to us really at a DNA level through this continuation of evolution?
Yeah, it's been my experience that absolutely that the living intelligence system we call the body is absolutely going through its learning and evolutionary process. And the more that you connect with, from my experience, the more I connect with my higher self and go into the core, the body lightens up. It becomes more intelligent, more aware, and more adaptable as well. It starts to fluid through these bumps and offshoots of when things come off much more easily, rather than retaining them as if it's something that needs to be stored. And part and parcel of that is our fundamental makeup, because I believe that from what the teams have told me, there's so much that humanity is going to learn about the true nature of what we call DNA that we don't understand right now, that is going to come forward. And part of the package of what's happening with this wave that's coming through now is they describe this idea that as this emanation increases, you will start to gain an inner knowingness. You won't know where it comes from. It will just start to appear. You'll suddenly get memories, experiential imprints, and this idea of things and abilities, latent talents, latent abilities just come online, and they'll just start to switch on. And they're saying, so will the understanding about who we are, what we are as a functioning living system of the human being. So much is going to change. And so it's everything is changing simultaneously, and it's being handled in a way by each of our higher selves that knows us inside and out, knows exactly what we can handle, when we can handle it. Sometimes the higher self will modulate the incoming streams of energy with sufficient connection to the higher self, so it will dampen a little bit if you're going through something, to hold it off until you're ready to go through it. Your higher self, in my view, in my experience, the higher self is your greatest ally, your greatest friend. It's always there for you, ready to help, because it's you. It's simply you in a higher vibrational field layer system, ready to assist you in your human consciousness when you're ready to accept it. Because it doesn't violate free will. So that's another aspect to consider as well. You do have to make requests, and you do have to start working with it. But the more you do, the more exchanges that happen, this symbiosis starts to take place, where there's much more of a fluid, automated sort of help from your higher self, rather than having to make requests, because you're changing from a personality free will and you're blending back into the real you, where the real you can now actively work on you much more directly.
Yeah, I love it. When you what's coming to ask you this is, like, when you look at the ascended masters that have walked the earth and their kind of abilities through this, and it's been stuff of legends that's been written for across different texts and different
right,
all sorts of things. But do you feel as a species where we kind of go in, is just actually activating what these people have been exhibiting? Because they're only human at the end of the day. We're all human, but it's our minds that put different people on pedestals, and whether we're worthy to be of that ilk or not. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Two things I'd love to say in that. That's a very good question. Is that, first of all, there are many beings throughout history, not just the ones that are known, through texts and other things, that have come here to both seed the energetic conditions of living from that core heart center, so that humanity could start to grow and use that as a foundation to springboard from. Now, the second aspect of this is that what my teams have told me, one of the most significant issues with the human condition is a lack of self-worth. It's one of the really, really big ones, they're saying. And if you really examine a lot of things that you go through, it stems from unworthiness, lack of self-worth, or you're not good enough. That's total nonsense. And the reason why we have, in my view, that as a prevalent condition in the human state is because when you look at the history of the human condition, many, many lifetimes, there were battles, there was this, we were living in such drudgery conditions, you could barely get like a loaf of bread most of the time, you were struggling, you were just basically trying to strive for existence. And so the knock-on effect was the diminishment of that source connection, whereas your innate value comes from, went away. Now people had to artificially build reasons of value, reasons of self-worth, such as, oh, I've got a nice house now. Yes, that means I'm XYZ. Or, oh, I've done this today. I feel good about myself. That means I'm worth something. All of those are artificial overlays over your true innate value, which it can't be taken away. And it's not a value that you have that, oh, I have something XYZ, so therefore I have value. That innateness in that value, that self-worth, is simply there as a matter of existence. You need nothing in order for it to be there. But those barriers that have been placed in the way over lifetime, and family field generational stuff over that as well, they have to come out of the way so the emanation can be strong enough so that you can feel the innate value that is there. Not an artificial one you create and you put over the top. An innate natural value that is always there. When you wake up, you feel delight just by being alive. You don't need anything. You don't need an event to be coming to look forward to. There's simply a delight in existence itself. And it's so powerful and so strong. They're saying when this people meet this threshold, when they open up and immerse themselves into themselves so much, there'll be a point where the threshold is reached and suddenly your life is now this emanation of delight, adventure, wonder, unlimitedness, and it's just flowing like a fountain. It's a well from within you that just keeps going, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And the beings that I connect with have that. They are so delighted and peaceful all the time for no reason at all. That's their existence. That's their continued existence of this stream that keeps emanating from them. And so I hope that gives a bit of an example and an overview to your question, because I think that's so important for people, particularly now as so much is coming out, for people to realize all that is coming out is not you. Everything that you've held on to for value is not real either. It's all transitory. The real you, the innate value, the innate delight for life is off the charts, and you're getting there. Step by step, all the dross is coming out the way, and it's slowly revealing the emanation as it comes out beneath it. So yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah, no, that's great. And have they shown you, because I keep, for some reason, as you're sharing this, I keep seeing popcorn on the stove.
Right. Yeah, totally.
You know, and as the energies of the sandwich of the earth and the universe, and we're in the shit sandwich in the middle currently, what's going on, and everything's coming out.
Yeah.
You know, the popcorn's starting to go, but there's always these kernels in there that never want to pop.
Yeah, that's the tightly held stuff, and that's the stuff when it does come up causes the most fuss, because it's our grip. It's so intense on it. It really, you know, some part of us really doesn't want to let it go, and that's when it causes a real problem. So yeah, I faced that many times myself, and I have real experience of going through those little crackers, you know, and it can be quite an experience for sure. And I'm pretty sure you have, by what we've discussed as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely.
Do you feel though they're like, because quite often there's a reference to, obviously at this time in history, but there's a split. There's going to be a split in people that are just going to embrace this and run with it, and then there's people that are going to continue to burrow down. Or do you feel, or been shown, that we're all in these frequencies at the end of the day? We're all human. So my kind of feeling is surely, but we do have free will as well, which, of course.
Yes. Oh, sorry, had you finished this?
No, yeah. How do you see it playing out?
I would say that in my view on it is, I think a little bit too much dramatization over this idea of a split has been sort of put in. The way I see it is, at any given point, you can make the decision to jump into yourself. Nothing is holding you back except your own choice to do or not to do. And so the apparency of what people call this split or shift is at best a perspective, I would say, or a presentation of a group of people appearing for the time being choosing to hold off, compared to other people choosing to engage and go in and immerse. But then you see, this is the cool thing. So as more people immerse, they emit powerful sort of source intelligent emanations. Those emanations have a profound impact on those people who might be resisting. It starts to soften them up and encourages them. It's okay to let go. It's totally okay. You will be safe. You will be the most safest in the letting go state you will be. Suddenly their barriers start to come down. So it's like an avalanche effect. So I would say that in my view, you know, predictions about this big split really don't hold water for me. I would say then from the team's perspective, it's more about, it's the presentation of choice to each of us. At any time, you can jump in the swimming pool, or you can swim to the side and hold on for dear life. And then you'll realize, oh, I'm actually okay. I'm going to let go again. I'm going to go back in. It's fine. So I think it's very dynamic and fluid like that. So that's kind of how I see it. And again, the nature of how the support teams that we have that we don't necessarily see, our higher selves at the very center of all of that, is so profoundly waiting to jump in whenever you make like you were saying, you had this when you decided you were all in, everything started to move, fast. And that's how it can work. And they get to it. And it happened for me as well. Before this, I was quite skeptical about a lot of things because I was a mathematician and a theoretical physicist. But the moment I had the experience of my higher self coming in and this energy, it's like, whoa, holy cow, that was quite something. I didn't expect that. But it was designed like that for me because I had such barriers, mental barriers. And yeah, I'm only going to believe that when I see it kind of thing. That it had to be that way to shake me, to say, look, here's the sensation. It's real now. Now let go of the barriers and the guards you've put up of skepticism and other things. Now begin the journey of immersing yourself in your truth, and everything will unfold quite naturally from there. And so I hope that is also another adage to help people understand a bit better, the things that might be going on for them right now.
Yeah, totally. And do you feel like, so when I reflect on the last 6 months since we last spoke, holy shit, like the shifts have just been, my ass has been handed to many times. And we talked about it off the line, with the bodies convulsing. I've had 2 days of absolute darkness at one point, and I'm, it was just like, this is coming out of my bones.
Yes.
And what's been humbling is the fact that there's just these layers that my mind is telling me, I'm okay. That's shifted. I'm good. I got this. And then bang, there it comes again. Yes. And then bang. So that now I'm kind of like feel not meek, but in a bit like where I've kind of been battered into submission.
Right.
And I'm thinking, is there any more? Oh my God, how much more of this have we got to do? Like, what's going on? Is there an end point, or is it just constant? Or is this just the time we live in, where it's just this constant waves of energy coming through and constant growth,
I would say, oh, sorry, had you finished that?
No, I was going to say, I do wonder. Yeah, please go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I can certainly share a few things that my teams have shared with me, because having gone through some real corkers myself, oh my goodness, to the points where I'm curled up on the floor, just bawling my eyes out in a fetal position because I just couldn't take it anymore because there was so much stuff coming up, really deep archetypal stuff. And the interesting thing is that my teams would come in afterwards because I'd go through the frustration and that, like, why is this happening? Why am I going through this? I don't want to go through this, And I'm sure many people will understand that scenario. Is that my teams would come in and say, but do you realize when you finally got to that point, when you're ready to throw your hands in the air, you finally let go of what was trying to leave, you see? And say you took yourself right down there, because it's like, they're saying, imagine like a trench in the ocean, and there's something locked down by a chain to the bottom of that trench in there. That thing is tethering you or anchoring you to the lower vibrational realms, and you can't move up until that comes off, okay? So there are packets of energy within us that create anchors or physical tethers to keep us where we are. So when people say, oh, why aren't I moving forward? I don't feel like I'm moving forward. Because there's still things, in my experience, what the teams have talked about, is there's still tethers that have yet to release, and they will come off. Now they're saying the more you can practice the art, again, of the peaceful observer, don't dramatize, don't get involved, don't try to relax the mind from engaging into it, because that's when you'll confuse yourself. You won't see it for what it is, and it'll be all sorts of messy mulch of what your mind is trying to interpret it as. And instead, if you can back off, just relax, let your higher self have a good look at it, and go in there and start the dissolving process by being the peaceful observer. Because when you would choose, make a free will choice to engage, you're essentially pushing your higher self away, and you are choosing to engage with it as a human personality. But coming off of that, you now let your higher self to have a full look, go in there, let your light intelligence do its business, do what it knows exactly what to do, but it needs the chance to get to it. And that's where we need to let go of the grip, the holding on, and engaging with it. And so what they were showing me was that every now and again, you'll reach in your path a place where there's a deep trough and there's something deep, old and ancient that needs to come out. And then so the process will begin to tether, break the chain, and that thing will start to move towards the surface. that's when you start to feel something's coming up, it's moving towards the surface now where you can consciously see it. That's when you got to just practice the art of just, okay, something's coming up. It's going to make its way to the surface. It might be an hour, it might be a day. Just let it do its business. And then for me, as I let it come forward, I can feel my higher self saying, right, now get into peaceful observation, allow your light to do what it does. You sit there, and then very quickly, I found things that used to take, days, weeks to resolve. Now within minutes, bang, gone, done, off, and then you feel this quick sort of rebound up as you've just pinged that thing off from down in the trenches. And the trenches start to move up and dissolve as well. So there's no hiding place for these packets anymore. Because that's, in another way, what we're doing. The packets of energy that stick in our energy field from previous lifetimes, family generational issues as well, they're coming off. And this is the process. They have a time in which, or a flow in which they start to untether and move up into your energy field to be consciously recognized and then let go of. That's the process. And I think that's something I didn't understand when I first began this. I bumped into a lot of things trying to sort them out, and I didn't realize the simplicity of how to deal with this and how to go through this peaceful observation process. And this is something, in the last sort of year or so, my teams have very much brought to the forefront and asked me to speak about, because this is very helpful to them. And it was unimaginably helpful to me going through deep archetypal stuff, and like I said, stuff will come up and it will be big stuff. And if you allow that process in the peaceful observer to happen, it can be gone very quickly. That, at least in my experience, that's what happens.
Yeah.
So definitely, yeah.
No, beautiful, beautiful. It's like you got to walk the terrain a few times, haven't you? And then
bang your head, kick your heels, you kind of,
and totally understand it as well. Mate, we're coming to the end of the podcast. I've just had an alert saying your storage is low, so I don't want to end the file.
Oh, sure.
I'll
okay,
lose
no
the
worries.
file. But is there anything you want to add before we wrap this podcast up? I feel like I could just talk to you all day, mate.
Yeah, it's been really fun. I really enjoy this. I love talking to you. It's very cool. I'd say just a message just for the end is the teams that I work with, my higher self, the source intelligence, they have this elation of joy for what we're about to step into. And so I feel like their message is, no matter what you're going through, even though it might feel like big stuff is coming to the surface for release, know that where you are going to is so profound, so immaculate, that living life, getting up, will be pure delight. It really will. And they're saying, they can't offer the words enough to describe. You are simply going to have to feel that, and you will. And when you do, you will look back at these times and laugh like crazy, because you will just be so elated by the state you are in that this stuff will seem like, oh my God, what a silly period we went through. How funny and stupid was that, But the adventures we're going to be having are going to be off the charts. What we think is mundane living right now will be swept aside, and something so new is going to come in that it's going to generate life and thriving unlike we have never and cannot even put into context right now what it is. It's that profound. So I hope that gives people a good message to go away with.
Totally. And I think if everyone made it through, they're never going to look at a sandwich or popcorn.
Yeah, definitely. Exactly. Cool.
Where can people check out more of your work, David? I'll make sure there's links in the show notes below.
Yeah, sure. We have the Patreon site, which is Infinite Source Creations, where the teams come through, and Infinite Source Creations generates powerful meditations to shift people forward more into their core, more into sovereignty, and that step forward to becoming their true self. We also have ic-infinity.com. We've made a number of different devices in collaboration with the teams for clearing and generating a generative space in your house and other ways as well. But we also have the other website, which is infinitesourcecreations.com, where you can see much of this, the meditation and other work as well. So those are the three main places.
Amazing. As always, David, a pleasure. Thanks, legend. Really appreciate it.
Likewise, definitely. It's been great being here. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you.